And welcome back to the Sooner Surge. If you are not already subscribed, be sure to click that subscribe button, turn on notifications, drop your questions and comments in the chat. Double Take is back. It has been a while. The OG subscribers know exactly what this is. I moderate a debate between Jason and Jeremy, present them with three questions. They each give their answers. And at the end of the episode, I kind of pick my own winner. Viewers would love for you to comment the overall winner of the episode. So let's get started with first question of the episode. Toughest road game remaining for the Sooners. They only have a few more road trips left. Only a couple in Big 12 play. You got Texas, which that's a neutral game, so that doesn't count. So toughest road game remaining on the schedule.
I'll start. I mean, to me, it's BYU. I think that's the toughest road game just because the proximity to travel to BYU, and I think their fans are really good fans. I think they have a great environment there at BYU. It's going to be a tough place to play, and BYU is a good team. Now, I know what Jeremy's going to say is, well, BYU just lost to Kansas, and that's probably going to be his argument. BYU also did just beat Arkansas on the road recently, who Arkansas is not a bad team. Arkansas should have beat LSU last night on the road. So BYU is a team, and I think another reason I think this is I know Kansas last year was good. I know they're 4-0, but I don't compare those two programs. BYU to me is tougher. They're tougher.
You are right. You are right, Jay, that I'm going to say Kansas. And look, you could say OSU, but how shambles that they're in, you can't even possibly remotely mention them anymore.
You just did mention them.
I'm talking about how bad they are. But
you just said you could say OSU.
2 years ago.
Hunter, did he say you could say OSU?
Leopold has done at Kansas is second to no one in the nation, guys. What he's done there. They have a great running attack with Devin Neal. They have Daniels at quarterback. They present some problems. I think they could present some problems. Now, we know OU's defense has been great, but Kansas has proven themselves. They're not a team that's just going to maybe upset a few people and then lose most of their other games.
What happened last year? That's exactly what happened last year.
Okay, Jay, BYU.
How have they proven themselves? They lost about 6 of their last 8.
Last year, Daniels got hurt in that TCU game, and then it all went downhill from that point.
BYU should have got run off the field at Arkansas. I don't even know how they were in that game, but the only thing that makes that tough is the altitude and when it is in the season, probably. But I think Kansas is a tough. And to be saying that Kansas is the toughest road game left is pretty shocking, but it is. I would actually say Cincinnati may have been the toughest road game of all of them. And OU already took care of business there. I'm going with Kansas. I think that's the toughest team left.
Yeah, Jeremy makes a good point there. Last time the Sooners did play in Kansas, I think we all remember that was a very close game. Granted, did not have the defense that we do now. So it will be interesting with those 2 road games as the season progresses following Texas week. Next up, I'll let Jay go first. Which running back on the roster do you think is RB1? We got Tawee Walker, Marcus Major, Javonte Barnes, and Gavin Sawchuk. There's been a lot of debate over who should be the starter among those 4. So, Jay, who do you got?
I went first on the last one. I'm going to let Jeremy go first.
Yeah, I'll go first.
We already know who he's going to say.
We know Jeff Lebby has said even this week in the post game that the reason Marcus Major was a starter this week was because he had the best week of practice. Whether or not that's something that Lebby's going to continue each week, I would be interested to see. I guess this would be a question on what we're basing it on. I think Marcus Major has shown the most explosion of all 4 guys this season. He's even got outside and even put on some old high stepping moves on the outside when he's got in space. Has done some great things. Now, Walker and Major are my top duo for sure over Barnes and Sawchuk, and here's why. What you have heard Brent Venables preach has been physical, unrelenting, type of suffocating defense, and those 2 guys Walker and Major provide OU a physicality that I don't see in Barnes and Sawchuk. And also the adversity that both those guys have been through, especially Marcus Major with the injuries. I think he is chomping at the bit week in, week out. He provides some things that maybe in blocking that maybe some of the other guys can't do. I'm going Marcus Major as RB1.
Well, I don't think the term Venables used was unrelenting, because I'm not even sure that's a word. I believe it was relenting, but whatever. And you might as well you're in the dark on this one, just like your camera right now. You're pretty dark, but hey, if I were to pick out of those 4 running backs, it's definitely Barnes and Sawchuk as a top duo. And the top one, I don't know. I've said before the season, to me, the best running back on the team, I think, is Gavin Sawchuk. I just don't think he's performed yet. And I think a lot of it that was due to injury in the offseason. But I think, and what's funny is Jeremy's sitting here saying this, but I mean, Hunter, if you want to pull up the videos earlier in the year, who Jeremy thought were the top 2 backs, he said Barnes and Sawchuk. So I don't know what's changed. They haven't played that much, and maybe that's what it is. But you're asking who the best 2 on the roster are. I get, if you go off playing and the way they've played, I would say, yeah, Walker and Major. But I just, other than
what else do you base it on?
Jeremy, other than the TU game, have those 2 played?
No, they haven't. So maybe we'll see them this week.
I mean, I don't know. I do think, and I think if you asked a lot of OU fans, they would say you got to get Barnes and Sawchuk going this year. And I think a lot of OU fans will say that. And they're not saying that because they are bum running backs. They're saying that because they're really good running backs. And I think Major's a really good running back, and I think Walker's a really good running back. I think they have 4 really good backs. But I think the 2 that have the top ceiling are Barnes and Sawchuk.
Okay, so you named all 4. So which single running back is RB1?
Sawchuk, in my opinion, is the best back on the team.
Gavin Sawchuk.
Actually, I mean, I don't even have one listed there, but Caleb Hicks, I think, might be the actual best.
I guess you can't be wrong when you list all 5 of them and argue for all 5. I don't know. I guess to kind of wrap up the episode, you both made pretty good arguments for your side. What's the best broadcasting crew in the country for college football? Is it Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt for Big Noon Kickoff? Or is it Chris Fowler and Herbie for the primetime game on ESPN or ABC?
This is not even close, in my opinion. To me, college football is Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. I don't think you could argue that. I mean, I'd like to see Jeremy. He might argue it. He argues a lot of things that don't make sense, including today on the Dallas game. We can talk about Dak Prescott all we want. The guy argues till he doesn't even make sense. But,
the question.
I just did. It's Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. When you think of college football, I mean, Jeremy, would you rather OU be playing a night game with Herbstreit and Fowler calling the game, or what you had the other day? And listen, I think Gus Johnson's been one of the best. He's a Hall of Famer. But I also think it's watching the game of the day, I don't want to use the word bored, but I got a little bit bored by some of it. And I think Joel Klatt's really good. I do think Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler those voices are college football. And to me, that's not going to change anytime soon.
Well, if you're going to go with voice of college football, it's Keith Jackson. But
he's no longer calling games.
Yeah, I get it. Hey,
I'm not talking about past. We're talking about
Hunter, didn't Fox used to have night games with Johnson and Klatt, correct? And Jay.
Yeah, they started to market 11 a.m. as their primetime slot. That's the reason that those 2 got moved to that time slot.
I mean, if you put Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt in the same primetime slot, I don't think there's 2 better out there. Chris Fowler is great. Herbstreit's great. Chris Fowler, Jay, if you don't know, he's known for the Australian Open. Big tennis guy. But really, if you're talking about...
You mean Wimbledon? U.S. Open?
Yeah, big tennis guy.
You're calling the worst major, the Australian Open, is the one you're saying he's known for.
Well, he's on it all the time if you watch him.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, what I'm saying is, Jay, how are you saying Gus Johnson and Joe Klatt are boring when they use the most hyperbolic language of any broadcasting duo in the history of mankind? They exaggerate everything. It's super exciting. That's why you use that kind of stuff.
So you're saying Joe Klatt and Gus Johnson are better?
Yes, and Big Noon Kickoff is 10 times better than Game Day right now. Game Day
Well-
fired David Pollock,
Well,
and they still have Lee Corso.
I would agree with you that the Big Noon Kickoff, other than Mark Ingram, who I thought, and Urban Meyer, I thought they were absolutely horrible. So get Big Game Bob back on there, and it's the best one there is. Big Game Bob's the best there is, obviously. But Game Day has went downhill. I think when they got rid of Pollock, I think that really hurt. And I like McAfee, but I just don't know if he's a great fit there on the Game Day set. But
the difference is OU's just not any primetime games anymore, guys. They're at 11 a.m. a lot, or during the day. They don't get a lot of prime time. I think the team they've played the most with Fowler and Herbstreit has been OSU.
Yeah, it would be OSU or Baylor. They played Baylor quite a bit in those night games for a bit. This one's hard. This is one of the hardest decisions I've had to make for a double take. Both very good arguments, some very not good arguments at the same time. A lot of rambling. Because of that, I'm going to go with Jeremy.
not surprised.
Viewers, drop your winner down below. Do you got Jason or Jeremy? Are you going to
Yeah,
agree
you're
with me?
a high school teacher. I'm surprised you picked him.
Okay, yeah. You can just be upset over it all you want, but I feel like his argument on Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt was a lot better than one you presented on Chris Fowler.
Look up hyperbolic language. You probably don't know what it means, but it's definitely not boring. I promise you.
Well, I mean, I don't need to know what it means because apparently, the Australian Open's the best major there is in tennis. So, all right.
Well, that's all we got today on Double Take. Be sure to comment your winner down below. Do you got Jason or Jeremy? Let us know and let us know why. Let us know which question that they answered you agree with the most. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to click that subscribe button. And until next time, Boomer.
Boomer.